Ladies and gents, boys and girls, returning subscribers, we were so back. Welcome to the PA Memories -1 behind the scenes video. I'm just sort of putting this out there as a little in-between video, you know, trying to get all my projects done, and I'm also looking into more methods of actually developing my art form, i.e. trying to learn game design. That's besides the point. What we're dealing with today is Project Arrhythmia Memories -1, a whole collab that was started by a bunch of people who were a little bit sour they didn't get into Memories, and now half the team has either quit or probably belongs in Memories. I mean, realistically speaking, we did promise what we said we were going to do in the trailer. I mean, look at it this way, it's a bunch of levels that you probably vaguely remember, so like, yeah, I'd argue that this is fulfilling of that promise. Do you know how many trailers today will just show off like fake gameplay or whatever? Now, we actually delivered on that promise by waiting 3 years. Honestly though, I do have to give massive props to everyone who participated in this collab. I do realize that especially with the early parts that were submitted, that nowadays they're like severely out of date. I know Luminescence was complaining about that at one point, but like, truthfully speaking, I think it's just a great way to show how far we've come in terms of everything, because it's not as if like, it's not as if we just worked on it for like 1 year and then stopped for the other 2 and then quickly wrapped it up to finish it. I mean, that's kind of what I did. I went on like 6-month hiatuses every so often just because mental health stuff, but like, overall, I think that generally speaking, this collab had been getting done progressively over the span of time, and I think Ked did a really great job of organizing it all, despite the huge stress of the project, which, speaking of that, actually, I've pretty much been given de facto leadership of PA Memories -1. I'm now effectively the owner of it. I am now the oppressive regime of this Megacollab series, and with me now having my own spot in the actual game itself, I think it's safe to say that everything's going according to plan. Mostly. But yeah. Sorry if this video seems a little bit less heavily edited or just sort of off the cuff. Just kind of throwing this one out there to the wind. I figured, even if it's not as detailed as anything else, I figured that a lot of people probably would at least like to know a bit about what goes behind it, so I can pull up, like, screenshots and things like that. First off, I'm very happy that this got made at all, because, like, dude, this collab was, I think, right around the chance of being close to getting cancelled because of the aforementioned stress that Ked was being put under to host this collab, which, dude, imagine doing this for 3 years. I mean, I did do this for 3 years. I was one of the members, and also did the initial trailer, the second trailer, one of the other members' parts, and the entirety of the ending, so yeah, I guess I did a pretty decent amount, and probably earned my status as de facto new owner of PA Memories -1. I will say though, as the owner of Memories -1, if we ever do this again, and that's a pretty big if, I'm probably gonna wait a little bit just to see what happens, because right now it kind of feels like we're undergoing an entirely new, I guess, generation of creators, with a lot of the older people just sort of moving on to other projects, or, you know, just getting bored of the game, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Project Arrhythmia is just a bullet hell video game. If people lose interest in it, you know, what are you gonna do? And even then, I've been seeing way more creators that, like, barely get any recognition, or, well, if they do, then they get in recognition in collabs that aren't Memories. So who knows, that ought to be fun, although, obviously, I think I'm just gonna break from this for a few years, and also probably institute more rules about, like, what parts get in and the combinations of it, because, frankly, the fact that this level is, like, 9 minutes plus is, like, a miracle. And for anyone wondering how exactly that's done, it's just that we each have our own copy of the level file with music, and then we work on our section, and then we just combine them towards the end and go through and bug test in case, like, a theme got corrupted or something like that, which, I mean, every so often that happens, but it's not usually that big of a deal, and it's not that big of a fix or anything like that. I do think one major thing that ended up happening in the middle of it, and this is why you always gotta keep track of that stuff, the biggest thing that happened is probably that, for whatever reason, it got, like, massively desynced, like, halfway through. I will say that I enjoyed making, or at least I enjoy getting to look over my work, and I did enjoy a lot of the process of making it, but I'm pretty sure this collab is also the reason why Broken Cycles took forever to come out, because if you saw my parts, basically the entire last minute and a half, starting from the beginning of Evolution onwards, all of that is my work, and I want Broken Cycles to be that level of quality and, like, a step up every single time. Like, I want to keep pushing myself to do better and better. I'm not gonna try and, like, you know, overexert myself. I feel like with this one, I just tried way too far. Like, this was like a massive jump in quality compared to anything else that I'd done. And honestly, I think that's probably why I ended up getting such strong burnout from that. It was more effort than I had put into anything else, and this was originally supposed to be like a shitpost collab, but then I was just like, eh, why not? I may as well work on it. I think right away, if I just go ahead and start off with my part, the transition from Nuke Gameplay's part, which by the way is absolutely superb, and I have to say he did a really great job with it, even though we did have a little bit towards the end of production where he added like a minor update to his part and it almost didn't get added because we were running low on time. Right away, I'll go ahead and say that I loved the redesign of the ship that I did. It's not much, obviously. I tried to stay true to the original design to have it be recognizable, but I'm glad that I got to add some extra things, like trying to curve the control panel slightly, adding a little bit of shading here and there, and also the wires on the top, even though they don't animate at all, I still appreciate it. There are some other little tricks that I did, like if you look closely at the Evolution logo, you can see that I actually have the text sort of rotating the same way that the shapeshifter's transitions work. I'm also just happy that this part didn't get deleted, because like everyone else had their own intro credits and stuff like that. Mine didn't get deleted, I guess because it was good, and I'm happy about that. Anyways, for Kiki's section, I was very happy that I got to redo this. I know that a lot of people trying to no-hit the level weren't happy about this section, which, fun fact, this has actually been nerfed. It was way harder previously. You guys should be thanking me. In terms of actual mechanical stuff, I wanted to focus more on making Kiki be an actual blue slime, like a slime boss, and not just be like the blue square that she basically was in Broken Cycles Act 1, which, by the way, I still find it hilarious that people think that the shapeshifter's true form is Kiki, when no, Kiki is actually the wife of the shapeshifter. Big distinction right there. Kiki's just a blue slime. Yeah, there's a bit of Broken Cycles lore for you. All 2 Broken Cycles fans who are left. Feel free to use that to help yourself get through the get through the winter. There were some interesting things that I did with this concept. For one thing, the body goes through a heavy amount of squash and stretch. I really wanted to put emphasis on that. I took big inspiration from like the Pikmin 3 Phasm Wraith and stuff like that, with the kinds of like slime gimmicks that you can go with. I mean, a lot of it is just lasers and bullets, obviously, but then the part where I had like Kiki detach one of her eyeballs, slide across the top with a laser, and then get shot back into the main body, while the main body creates the sort of barrier that you're supposed to hide in, was, I think, I don't know, I was just really proud of how that one turned out, especially because it was a really complex parenting chain. Well, I mean, I guess not necessarily that complex. Basically, you have the individual eyes, and you have all of their movement parented to invisible objects, and then you have the eyes themselves be parented, and then you just, you know, hook them back to normal once they get back to the main body. One other thing that I'd kind of like to put attention to is that, like, I tried to randomize the teardrop that happens. I put a little bit of extra detail into it. I just thought that it would be a neat effect to just have, like, an actual sort of realistic-looking teardrop that just sort of splats onto the ground. I also completely randomized it, which was a little bit more painful to set up than I thought that it would be, probably because I don't know how to do randomized placement like that, but I mean, like, it works. And I don't know how many people actually noticed that, but whatever. It adds to the feel of how chaotic this level is. At the very least, everything else in this level is just 100% consistent. Like, the bullets, the individual bullet spawns themselves, they're not randomized. You can, if you learn a good placement for it, you don't even have to worry about dodging them. Or at the very least, you can dodge them with practice. But after that, yeah, no, very proud with how this section turned out. I'm very proud with how I was able to do some of the camera works for Kiki's section. And then we move on to, of course, Cyber's section, or aka in Evolution, the Shapeshifter montage. And this part is one that I was extremely happy with, because I got to show off just how many other cool ideas that I have. You have no clue how happy that I was to get to see Willow animated. Oh my gosh, Willow is my girl, and her coconut guns can fire in spurts, and I'm so happy that I got to use it like that. Dude, went from like pencil tree to Braca lady. I love her like a child, basically, like a grown man getting to watch his children finally learn to walk for the first time. This time literally, because Willow has actual legs and I had slowly learning how to animate them and do things like that, and it's a lot more complicated than you'd think, but you know, one step at a time, obviously. Animating legs would probably be a lot more easier if you're doing like frame-by-frame animation, obviously, but you know, PA presents its own special challenges and ways to get around that, and you know, we all have fun with it and things like that. Although I will say that, like, looking back at it now, I realize that I definitely could have done a better job on the actual gun firing animation. I have no clue how it looks now, but I did my best at the time, I guess. I'm just happy that I got to give all the bosses redesigns and just sort of like show off what I think would have been a lot cooler. I even gave Addo and Phi a redesign, and even they didn't really deserve it, all things considered. Well, Lavender, of course, I just did more with Lavender's section. I just went like full... I don't know how you'd describe it. I went full creepypasta mode. I mean, that's basically just what her gimmick is that she's just like the eldritch nightmare moon lady, which is very funny, and I very much appreciate that. I have no clue why there's a teardrop that just like breaks. For whatever reason, that prefab that I have for like Lavender's teardrops is just always broken, and I don't know why. There were so many other details of this that I got just to emulate the real thing, like the little gradient that I added right there to sort of emulate the way that it happens in the actual level. Oh man, there were just so many ways that I got to combine this, and I know technically it's not even close to being one-to-one with the actual PA Memories -1. Or, sorry, it's not one-to-one with the actual section itself. I wanted to take both versions and just sort of combine them into one, because, I mean, frankly, both of them use the exact same section of the song anyways, or very similar parts of the section. And even then, both of them are pretty much like... they get across the idea of what I wanted a lot better than I could back then, and it definitely shows a lot of growth, and that growth was all taken advantage of because I got burnt out for several years. And of course now we have the reveal of the shapeshifter's true form, which is shown off in color later, which is very nice, and also still probably in beta, who knows, I haven't actually experimented with it yet. And before we move on to the ending section, actually, I kind of want to talk about Train Rush. This level actually has a bit of interesting development history. You see, it was originally supposed to be done by Shansky. Then afterwards, he quit, so it got passed off to Dre. Dre made like one attack, and then I think he basically just gave up on it. And then I think maybe it was going to go off to Galactica at some point, but Galactica didn't end up doing it. And then literally 1 week away from this level getting released, I was just like, you know what, I'll just do it. I did all the backgrounds in a day, sped ran through a lot of it. I was on like a complete level make and roll with this one, and it felt so good to be back because I had taken a bit of a break after I did the ending. Yeah, and then I ended up cranking out all of this in like a week, and then I ended up quitting it and I gave it to Luminescence, and then Luminescence finished all of it, which, if you look very closely at the animation of Steamer, you can probably tell the exact point where I stopped animating him, Luminescence started animating him, and then the point where I picked it back up again. I just think that's funny. But honestly, though, I think the styles mesh pretty well together. I think Luminescence did an excellent job with what he was given, especially since I kind of just didn't give him any specific direction. Dude, I didn't even animate the bullets that happened during his, like, spin attack, and I'm so happy that Luminescence actually understood what I was going for with that. Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. I will say, though, I probably spent the most amount of time in this section on the little pulleys, like the little levelers that he pulls down as they, like, fall down, because you can't really do curved lines in PA. Probably what took up the most amount of time for me. And even then, if you watch it, like, frame by frame, you can tell that I, like, clearly cheated with those, but I also just, you know, I felt like it was a good little extra bit of detail to, like, cap it off, although, realistically speaking, now that I look back at this, I can definitely tell that I, like, made it in a week-ish. It's not like, I mean, it's not the strongest part in the collab, but I am pretty happy with it, and I'm also happy that I got to tease the inevitable reveal of Steamer riding around in a tank. I will get to that now. We'll get to the tank. We'll get to the tank. Give it time. Give it time. And yeah, and that leads us to the credits, specifically the fake credits. A fun fact, if you're wondering why the design of the heart in the actual level and the design that we have for the level's thumbnail are two different ones, it's that we didn't really have any like communication on what the actual logo was gonna look like. So I believe I made this design for the level like several years ago, and I just went off of what we had for like the Discord channel's logo for it. And what ended up happening is that I kept this design for like several years, no one said anything, and then when it came time to make the level thumbnail, I think someone reached out to Thon, and then Thon did their own take on it. And yeah, the funniest part about all of this is that when my YouTube video thumbnail, I originally asked the very lovely Keegan42 to do it. Yeah, that was finished so quickly that by the time Thon finished, it was already done, and I didn't feel like telling Keegan to just, you know, redo the entire thing with a different color scheme and theming and everything, so I'm just like, whatever, it's fine. The fake credit screen is something I'm super proud of. I spent a decent amount of time just getting the whole thing set up, and it looks super, super good. I'm very happy with how it looks. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, we also have me, my lovely face. It is Mountain Dash 1, the child, the petulant professional YouTube content delayer. And I love how I can strive for, like, the half PNG tuber, half fully animated, like, model. And also the spotlight that I did with all the gradients there was, like, super fun, too. And the transitions to it, oh, I was so happy with it. Dude, you have no idea how badly I wanted to do this section. Just like with my section for Evolution, I had so many different stupid ideas for how this part was going to go down, and all of them got executed perfectly, in my opinion. I mean, to be fair, I know that it's very chaotic. I know some things definitely could have been warmed a lot better. I tried my best to keep everything relatively warmed and safe and all of that, but I mean, it's still going to be chaotic because you're combining like 11 different levels into one section. And dude, I spent so long planning this out. You have no clue how often I would have to like rearrange parts, or like, I think at one part, I think I had to move the tank section to be like slightly earlier than usual, or like slightly earlier than it was supposed to appear just because it worked out a little bit better. But there were so many shots here that I was very much proud of. The opening with Nabil's little box lasers was awesome. Getting to animate the creator firing off his little lasers was also another part that I'm very proud of with all four of his hands. Steamer riding around in a tank. Dude, Steamer riding around in a tank. Steamer literally trying to kill you with a tank because he's just trying to do his job and you're just pestering him or something. I hope I interpreted the character right. I really just kind of guessed off of what we had from limited information. I've had that idea for years. Like, pretty much since the collab started, I'm just like, what if the Steamer was riding around in a tank from Feeling of Dread? And it worked, and I'm very happy with it. Well, I hope it worked anyways. I think it worked. And then the little technique that I did for Gwinuo's section where the sort of walls closing around you was, I think, probably one of the most... I pretty much pulled out every single technique that I could think of in order to get this level to work. The background was really fun to make too. I love the... oh my gosh, dude. This little page wipe that I have in between Gwinuo and the tank section was actually the easiest part of making that background compared to like the actual bit. And then right here, this part with like the dual boss fight between Corrupted Spaceor and the little chip tuna JSAB Creatura. That one, I really didn't know how best I was going to animate it. What I ended up doing is that for this section and for the like end section, I ended up having to just storyboard it out. Like I have a little whiteboard in my room and I just kind of like wrote it out beat by beat of what I wanted the characters to do in like the small span of time that I had it. And then of course the section I'm really happy with. I'm really, really happy with both the animation that I did with the Uprising Star guy, I don't know his name, I'm sorry, Instes, and the background that I did for it. Oddly enough, it kind of looks 3D, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I'm not entirely sure. And then the little ending fight that I had with it, it got changed repeatedly. They were originally supposed to do like a lot more, I think. I ended up having to condense it down because I just realized there wasn't enough time if I wanted the actual, I guess, cinematography of it to look a little bit better. Oh yeah, also at one point, I forgot who suggested it. I think it was Nuke, said that I should bring Nexus into this. So I brought Nexus into this, except it's using Nexus's old model because I didn't have the new one at the time. It's a very simple section, and it's probably not the best balance, but it's an end credits. Not anything can hurt you except for, like, the things that can hurt you. Linguist of the Year, everyone. And then, of course, we have the Shapeshifter's revealed design. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this one as a permanent design. I may change it later. I'm like, somewhat happy with how it turned out with, like, little butterfly wings, I think. I think that overall worked pretty well, and I also liked what I could do with the antennae. I'm also just happy that I got to have the shapeshifter just punch someone. I mean, like, his character would punch someone. He's an adventurer. Adventurers are known for punching evil until it goes away or stops doing evil. That's pretty much just how it works. But anyways, and then we have the end credits. Let's count them out now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 animated characters stuffed into 5 timelines. How did he do it? A very unorganized timeline. Oh yeah, also 9 color slots, or 11, I forgot the exact number, but yeah, no, I had to really stuff in. Like, dude, there was barely enough room to actually get everyone's character color to actually fit within this, and even then I still technically cheated, because you can see, like, I think Shonsky's hands kind of ruined the illusion, but, like, other than that, I think everything else worked out pretty well in terms of displaying who was who, using the correct color scheme. It's very nice that everyone in this community uses very simplistic colors, because, you know, we all have to work within the arbitrary 9 color limit. Yeah, it's somewhat arbitrary. Also, this is another reason why I couldn't just change it at the last second to be like Thon's like orange retro aesthetic, because I wouldn't have been able to change it from the neon thing. Although I guess now that my neon self owns PA memories, it's really nice that it works out, question mark? No hard feelings, Thon. Also, big shoutouts to Dre pitching in during the Feeling of Treads part. And yeah, that's basically everything. No guarantees that when I'll actually be done or when I'll be back to making regular content. Hopefully soonish. Hopefully I won't have to take forever with this. I definitely want to get back on the content train. I've been doing a lot more recently, trying to pace myself out. Hopefully I'll have something in the pipeline for you soon, guys. Maybe it'll be Broken Cycles, maybe not. It will be what it be. It's as the old saying goes, 90% of gamblers quit before they hit it big, so keep gambling. I've been Mountain Dash 1. See you guys in the future.